So my presentation will be on profile of a teacher. When I was in the second grade, there was a student in my class, and he somehow was always 2 or 3 steps behind everyone, whether that be classwork or homework. But he was a goofball, so most of us just associated his behavior to that. But our teacher, she was able to dig through his class clown exterior, and she found that there was an actual problem. He wasn't understanding the material, and he had almost no support at home. And I found out all of this several years later when we were in middle school and he was in my English class and we were assigned to work on a project together. That's when he told me that our second grade teacher, she actually stayed after school with him every single day. She helped him grasp basic reading and math skills, and often she orally tested him because he wasn't on the same reading level as us. I think this is the first time that I realized that I wanted to be a teacher because I wanted to be a teacher like my second grade teacher. And this is the type of thing that I wanted to do for a student, and I thought that this is how all teachers should be. Merriam-Webster defines passion as a strong feeling of enthusiasm or excitement for something or about doing something. So could teachers have this kind of passion? Absolutely. In fact, I believe if there exists like a list out there that says, oh, top 15 qualities of what a teacher should be like, passion should be on that list, or I would put it on that list. So what does passion entail? What does it mean to be a passionate teacher? A teacher should be passionate about his or her subject material. So the question should be, why should students be interested in your subject? How is reading Romeo and Juliet or using Pythagorean theorem to solve problems going to help them? And that's where passion comes in. Teachers should be passionate about their subject, and their passion should directly transfer to students. And a teacher's enthusiasm is what can help the students understand and learn the subject and be excited about it. In Chapter 5 of the Saber-Tooth curriculum, the concept of how to think versus what to think is discussed. So when a teacher is passionate about the subject, they can help students understand and go beyond like a deeper level on why it's important for them to learn. So for example, why they could, when reading Romeo and Juliet, like how do the themes of Romeo and Juliet apply to them? And don't just say, oh yeah, we're reading this book because we have to fulfill like a certain quota or something. Help them explore beyond that. So if you guys remember, I watched Dead Poet Society for my Hackers Week project, and I would say this movie is definitely a must-watch for students and teachers, and because it builds upon what a good teacher is. And in this case, a good teacher, like he wasn't, like the principal of that school didn't really like his methods, but his actions benefited the students. And the way Professor Keating, which is Robin Williams, he interacted with the students in a way that was very meaningful, and he created personal relationships, and he figured out what works and doesn't work. And through his subject matter, he was able to enlighten many of them. In Group Genius, there was a big chunk of it that discussed flexibility and changing up the way we do things. So as a teacher, I believe that's a very important quality to have, and we should be ready to change our methods if we realize that something's not working. And the only way that we will know if it's not working or if it is working is if we create meaningful classrooms meaningful relationships in the classroom, In Chapter 2 of the Saber-Tooth curriculum, Dr. Pettewell discusses how education, it was divided among subject, and it was categorized to coincide with like developmental patterns of children. So creating a bond with your students, and it can help, like it's very essential in the classroom because not every student will understand it the first time, and not every student will understand it the same way. So if you teach something, like if you go over a math problem, one student might get it, but then another student, you have to use a different method. Nowadays, technology has become a big part of classrooms, and whether it's being used properly or not, that's up for debate. But I do believe technology often gets in the way of creating relationships in the classroom between teachers and students. We can see that smart boards are placed in the classroom, and they're there to provide ease and efficiency, and they're not there to replace the instructor. That shouldn't be the purpose of them. Teachers can still have a relationship despite all the technology. In Rethinking Education, there are 3 eras of education discussed, and in the apprenticeship era, children were creating close bonds with whoever was educating them. So sometimes in the beginning it was parents or close relatives, and then later on it was teachers as well. I think we need to go back to that. But recently, student interaction with technology has increased, so it's important to find the balance and still create a bond with your students. Oops. Another part of my Hackers Week project was watching TED Talks, and Sir Ken Robinson, that's one of the talks I listened to, and he's one of my favorite speakers. He was talking about the dropout rate for students is very large in the US compared to other countries. So why is that? Are we not spending enough money? Are we not providing enough resources? Well, maybe we are, maybe we aren't, but that's not the real reason. Students are losing interest. And why is that? It's because they want to know what they're learning, how does it apply to them? How does it apply in the real world? That's what it all comes down to, because if they don't find real use for what they're learning, they won't be interested. Let's just take us for example. If our professor if like one of your professors says, "Oh, okay, so next class, we're just going to be going over chapter 5 and 6, but it won't be on the exams. You won't be responsible for any of the material." How many of you would go to class? To be honest, I probably wouldn't. And I guess this is what you could say where passion comes back in. So if my teacher doesn't care about the subject, then why should I care? That's kind of the question. So if my teacher didn't care about Romeo and Juliet, why should I care about it? And if it's not presented in an engaging way, I probably would lose interest. So a teacher is more than someone who just stands in front of the room and lectures or proctors us during exam. A teacher is a guide, and a teacher should help you explore on how to think for yourself. Not what to think, but how to think. And helping you understand how this can apply to you. Citations, and that is it.